Now, welcome to another Let's Talk Some Mando, where this time it is the final episode of Season 3, also known as Chapter 24, also known as The Return. And once again, we shall begin this video with your ever-so-brief review of the episode.
It was too short. And unfortunately, I think it felt more like the series ended than the season ended. Very straightforward, cut and dry, everything happened exactly as it was expected, and that made it boring, in a way.
I wouldn't say it was boring. It was a fun viewing experience. There's a lot of action, a lot of cool stuff. But at the same time, that sometimes leads to the problem, and this show really has that problem of it doesn't like to ever just slow down and breathe and let the characters interact and to really build anything.
They had so many openings to introduce us more to the Imperial Remnant and the possibly Thrawn and going deeper, and they're just like, just keep it surface level, guys.
It never or rarely, it has its moments. Last week we had kind of a nice moment with Din and Bo when they had a discussion. It lacks those moments of real depth. And I wouldn't say it's because none of the theories turned out to be true. It's that none of anything turned out to happen other than the very straightforward kind of uninspired story we got this week.
Not even Axe Wolves died.
No, even he got...
Well, first it was like, is he seriously going to go down with the ship while he's wearing a jetpack in atmosphere?
I was wondering that too.
And then he did, and I was like, well, at least they kept it intelligent that he didn't just go down with the ship for no reason.
Well, he might have been out of fuel at that point because he flew all the way up through the atmosphere to the ship. And
fuel was not an issue in this episode.
It's only an issue when it needs to be. The Mandalorians were
flying everywhere. No, it was only an issue in the one episode where they couldn't go chase after the bird.
It's only an issue when it needs to be. It's one of those convenient or inconvenient things.
The only one that I would give a pass to on flying around was Din because he grabbed a new jetpack, but he wasn't flying around.
At least he grabbed the jetpack this time. There have been other occasions where he forgets to do that.
He took someone else's jetpack, though.
But no, I think it was an enjoyable episode in and of itself. As the season finale, a little odd. We'll probably talk more about that. As a series finale, I think this actually would have worked really well.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get to your comments now. Starting, as always, with the top-rated comment from my review on the other channel.
This one comes from I Slay Goblins. It felt like the season was made out of obligation instead of inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like, okay, we're going to make another season. We're going to try to make the story bigger. We're going to give you a little bit of Mando and Grogu. We're going to incorporate some other things. And
yeah.
It didn't really feel as organic as the previous two seasons in a way, if that makes sense.
And what's weird is, moving into the future, we already know that Favreau's like, I already wrote season 4 of The Mandalorian, but I feel like, okay, well, there's The Mandalorian, which you could say now is Bo's group with the Mandalorians, and then you could say Rangers of the New Republic are Din Grogu.
I'm really wondering if Mandalorian kind of becomes the bo-katan show, and Rangers of the New Republic is revived and becomes the Din Djarin, Captain Teva, Zeb, and why don't we throw a Wedge Antilles or something cool in there, or recast him?
Something like that. It's just such a weird way to end it. We're almost ending it going back to the fact that maybe now he's just going to be doing lonesome things but like, what is his goals now? It's to train his new apprentice, his adopted child.
It feels like the show reverted back to like episode, like season 1, because we've kind of undone the whole IG-11's sacrifice from season 1 in a weird sort of way, because he's back, but not really back. And then we have Grogu and Din back together as if they never parted ways, which was the beautiful end of season 2.
Where the heck was my Boba Fett moment?
Yeah, not happening.
Yeah, which is also weird. Not to mention the Mythosaur didn't do anything.
He opened his eyes.
Oh, he opened his eyes.
I knew that thing wasn't getting ridden by anybody this season.
No,
that
but
just
it didn't do anything. It didn't even come out and show itself to the Mandalorians. They're all there rebaptizing and stuff, finishing up
Ragnar was getting his,
Vizsla. Yeah.
Why wasn't? See, that's where the show irritates me. It's like take 2 minutes with this baptism thing, and let's mention Paz. Instead, it's just like, we just hurry through everything with the show, I feel like.
I know your dad just died, but...
Well, yeah, but it would be far more emotional because it was cool. I'm like, oh, it's Ragnar getting the full ceremony this time. He's the first one in the living waters. Mention his father.
I would have loved to see them pass Paz's helmet onto him.
Something.
So that now he wears his father's helmet and they call him the new leader of Clan Vizsla or something.
Something.
Because Mandalorians pass their armor down.
Yeah, I agree.
I would have loved to see them maybe rebaptize him in his father's helmet.
The base did get blown up, and it's
Beskar. It's fine.
Yeah, it might be a little cooked,
It's
but
fine. She's an armorer. She'll jazz
are
it
you
up.
implying
It's
just
fine.
being in Beskar you can survive a blast? Because now we can
No,
bring in
it's
some
gonna
Moff
get
Gideon
really,
two
really
stomach theories.
hot and probably cook you. But I'm just saying, she's the armorer. She could probably. It's using heat metal in D&D.
It's
But no, I'm saying she's the armorer. She fixes up the helmet.
okay.
We finish Ragnar's baptism into the way, his full-on swearing of the oaths. We finish it with his father's helmet.
I agree.
That would have been a touching moment, and everyone who looked at it would have been like, "Aw."
Instead, Paz never gets mentioned at all in the
No,
episode.
not even to his son. Like he's an afterthought. He wasn't important.
Yep.
Next comment is from Do Diligence. Were we supposed to cry because Din adopted Grogu officially? People like Bo were already calling Grogu his son. I don't think it hit the emotional beat that they were hoping for, since that dynamic was already set up. Bingo. Nail on the head.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
I'm like, okay, it's official now.
He's been basically his son forever.
But now they share a first name.
I think it's... I've seen a lot of people debating this. They'll point out the whole Boba, Jango Fett, bo-katan Kryze. I think it's just Mando himself. That is his... Din Djarin is his real name from his original
Family,
culture,
yeah.
wherever he originally came from. So they kept his
Well, he was a
kind of
foundling.
surname first.
He wasn't adopted.
Yeah.
If Grogu would have been able to speak the creed and be a true foundling, Grogu would have stayed his name.
It felt like an excuse not to have him talk yet, too. After the whole IG-11 or 12 thing, which I thought was pretty clever to give him at least the ability to say yes and no, which they can still give him something to do that. But yeah, it didn't have any sort of emotional impact on me. I don't know, am I cold-hearted? Did
No.
others really find... I mean,
It's
it got a lot
just
of
like,
votes, upvotes, so I don't think a lot of
It's
people...
just like Dill here said. Bo was already referring to him as his son.
Yeah.
Oh, did you think your dad was the only Mandalorian? He already sees Din as his father, and Din already saw Grogu pretty much as a son. The adoption thing really made no difference other than getting an excuse to keep him out of a helmet.
Is it the excuse to keep him out of a helmet? I thought it... See, that's what I didn't get. It's like he can't take the creed, but I'm kind of telling him I'm taking it for him in a way. Shouldn't he be putting the helmet on now?
Armor hasn't made one his size yet.
With the ears?
I guess.
But I mean, maybe he
I
can
don't
just
know.
follow Bo-Katan's way a little bit more and
Possibly.
take the helmet off or
He's
never
probably
wear
a
it.
Bo-Katan follower.
I don't know. Very, very strange. I don't know. That was supposed to be like the emotional climax of the season. And I'm like, thought they kind of already were father, son.
Next up from Nightmare. The finale perfectly captured what the whole season was about. Waiting for something, but nothing really ever happens.
Yeah.
It was very odd. The whole season was odd. It was like they had to write the season. They know they took too long to get us another season, so they threw a bunch of episodes together and said, look, it's a season.
Yeah, it feels like you could watch these last 2 episodes and pretty much skip the first 6 and really not have missed a whole lot.
Yeah. You could probably watch like half of number 1,
Yeah.
all of number 2, part of, and then the last 2, and you'd probably be almost good.
Yeah, you could make like a
like-
super edit of the first
You
6
could make
episodes.
a whole edit of it, and it would be like one movie was the season.
Kinda.
Yeah, because...
And that's not to say you can't have enjoyed the individual episodes for what they were, but I mean, when it comes to just... I think a lot of us went into this season expecting like just a bigger story in general. I mean,
I
we were
didn't
kind of
feel it,
told
yeah.
that, and I didn't feel... I mean, I felt like they were hinting at bigger things, and at times they would do things that the previous seasons haven't done, like completely shift perspective away from Din Djarin, which the previous 2 seasons maybe did for 10, 20 seconds here and there, like literally. And here we would have entire sequences, almost entire episodes away from his perspective.
It was a very bizarre season, just in general.
So it was a very weird season that you thought was going to be like big and epic, and then it kind of culminates into like this very peaceful, happy finale. I don't know. It was an odd season. Not at all what I expected.
No, and they needed to have something epic to lead into Ahsoka.
Yeah, I was
to get
surprised.
our excitement up, and they didn't mention it at all. I know that I think Favreau or Filoni said beforehand there wasn't going to be any Ahsoka stuff
Well,
in
they
this,
weren't
but
lying.
there should have been.
Post-credit
At
scene.
least a post-credit scene with Thrawn, now that Gideon has been disposed of, or something.
Something.
Now I don't have to worry about that Jedi following me. I don't know, just something
I like
to
that.
tie us into the next segment, because this should have helped hype us up for that. Instead, you like wrapped this up like with a little bow, and it doesn't give me anything to look forward to.
I think you were onto something brilliant. Just having Thrawn show up and say, "Oh, now I don't have to deal with Gideon myself." And if it wasn't for that, not to make it sound cheesy, you could do it up a little better than this. But if it wasn't for that pesky Jedi, my plans would be, we'd be home free at this point. Could have done something.
Something like, oh yes, well now that the New Republic is off our back, there's only one last problem that remains.
Yeah,
and then flash to Ahsoka.
No, you flash to Ezra Bridger.
Oh yeah, it'd be even better.
How great, because then everybody would be like,
gosh, why
who's
don't they
this
let
guy?
us write things?
Well, I'm not going to comment on that either way. I'm simply going to say, how great would it have been to have Thrawn, like, I lost Ezra Bridger. Now I'm looking. I mean, I don't know what the series is exactly going to be. He probably doesn't care where Ezra is. He might not care. They could be friends. Could be a lot of things. But to have Thrawn reference Ezra, everybody would be like, okay, so this is the guy they were talking about last episode. This is the big guy, and he's looking for this Ezra guy. And I'm, of course, referring to people who don't know who Ezra is. So you'd immediately pique their interest about this character that the next series is going to be about finding.
Then maybe instead of recommending Andor to us after every episode, they could have recommended Rebels.
They do every time. They know me.
Hey, you finish this? You want to watch Andor? Like, well, if you don't mind.
Yes, I really do right now.
Yes, I do. I need something full of protein, some could say.
Yes.
Next comment is from Timbo Slice. I thought for sure they were going to reveal that Gideon was a Force-infused clone that would start throwing Din and Grogu around. I was wrong. And yes, Giancarlo Esposito's acting seemed hammy in these episodes.
He was
only in two.
The same
He was
somehow.
barely in one of them.
He just felt like, I made these clones of myself and I have a Beskar suit. And it's like, oh, okay.
Maybe because we'll find out in next season he was also a clone and he just wasn't as good as...
As much as I love Moff Gideon, don't do that, please.
No, it's
Don't
over.
have this have been some kind of clone, some kind of first-generation clone before the Force-sensitive things kicked in.
But I'm curious, what'll happen to the Amnesty spy? What happens to Elia Kane now that her boss is gone? What does she do?
It's a good question.
Does she have to
Report to
drink
Thrawn?
the Kool-Aid for good? Or is another Empire remnant
Somebody
going to be able to get a hold of her?
It's a good question. Interesting question. It's kind of weird that they kind of dead-end all that, unless it is going to be picked up by Thrawn. Huh.
But, a post-credit scene could have helped. Oh, wait, they didn't do that.
Yeah.
We were cheated.
It makes it feel really strange now unless the amnesty program, which, it probably is, right? Unless it's still going to be a big deal elsewhere, you did kind of run it into this wall.
Unless that's going to be what we deal with in Mando, Grogu, Rangers, the New Republic, is they hunt down those amnesties who go bad.
Maybe.
Because you can't go get them with regular means. So
Maybe
the New Republic
to...
buddy is like, you need to track down that Elia Kane. She's a bad apple. He's like, come on, Grogu, let's go.
What?
It's a Western or
Love
something.
the accent, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe they have to go back to Plaisir and arrest Jack Black.
Why don't they just go live on Plaisir where droids are slaves and do everything for you and you don't have... It's like WALL-E.
It was very WALL-E.
It's really weird. It was an Epcot Center WALL-E thing.
It was very Disney.
It was super Disney.
Yep.
It's the planet that the Disney would live on. Next comment from RG2088. I wish you guys could have enjoyed it as much as I did. I thought the finale was really great and made me feel like a kid again. And I thought it felt wholesome.
It was wholesome. I enjoyed it.
And I agree with everything that they said. You know what? It was a spectacle. It was exciting to watch. There were some good fight scenes. I think I just wanted more.
Yeah,
and that's on me.
Well, yeah. Yes and no, because I think the season prepared you for something.
Well,
I think it
Andor
kind of
did
alluded.
ruin us. So.
Andor was just really good writing. I don't care if you didn't like it, if you're like, oh, that wasn't Star Wars enough, but that was just some really good writing. And this was not as good writing.
It was more along the lines, I think, of something like a New Hope writing.
It's trying to... Yeah.
And it does emulate the original trilogy very well in the tone and everything.
That's the first thing you said, because we didn't watch it together. I stayed up. Actually, I slept for like an hour or two and then got up and watched it and did my review. And then you got up early and watched it. And the first thing you said to me is, well, it felt like Star Wars.
It definitely felt like Star Wars. And it did have everything that he said. And, makes you feel like a kid. It felt wholesome. I think I just wanted more. I wanted more of a setup. I wanted a little more depth.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. I just feel like I said, I just felt like there should have been a little something more. It felt like something was missing. It's hard to put your finger on it.
From taking that episode from good to fantastic was what was missing.
Yeah, I'm not upset about the wholesome, happy ending. I feel like you missed an opportunity to really hook your audience at a time that it's kind of crucial to hook them. When
like I said,
you're really trying to expand all this, and you're going to start with you have this series called Ahsoka that, again, if you're not a kind of a more hardcore fan, you don't know the character.
I think, honestly, all that was missing for me was honoring Paz's death, as we talked about.
Big miss, yeah.
Yeah, honoring Paz's death with the quote-unquote baptism type thing or ceremony of his son, and then giving us a post-credit that introduced us to the next big bad that's out there.
Yeah.
Other than that, I thought they did fine for the most part. Some other minor gripes.
Yeah.
Next comment is from Miguel Sanchez. I've always felt that the real series finale should have been Season 2 with Luke. The characters would have continued, of course, but in other series or with cameos. The way Season 3 played out makes me feel like this was someone's original plan, and then they were forced to continue past the Luke finale episode.
I remember when Season 2 premiered, and for a little while there before Disney and Lucasfilm cleared it up, some people did think the Mando was becoming the Book of Boba Fett. Because if you remember, that's where the post-credit scene was for Book of Boba Fett. And people are like, does that mean we're switching now? The series is becoming something else? And I think in a weird way, people were kind of okay with that.
Right.
Or weren't like,
kind of
outraged.
Moving it around like an anthology around the universe.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, so we got the book of Din Djarin and Mando is closed. We're going to open another book, and then maybe another book will be opened with a different character. And
the Song of bo-katan.
Yeah, and I almost, after seeing this, I'm like, it's almost like they wanted to do that, but then we're told, hey, we need another season of Mando. This thing is huge.
Yeah, now they're going to give us another season of Mando. We don't have any idea where they're going to go.
Yeah.
Because you have to have enough Mando material to fill up the space to this culmination movie.
But yeah, I felt like maybe that's the route they're going to go now. Even with Ahsoka, Filoni has said they have plans for one season. If it's popular, maybe they do another. Kind of going with the flow a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, they said that about Kenobi, too.
Well, they can stay with one season there.
I don't think it will.
I don't think it will either.
Next comment from Alex Fidesz Palacios. I remember Season 2 finale. I had not felt that excited for something Star Wars in so long. It's really a shame that in one season, I went from that to pure boredom watching it. I'm glad this is over. I was so ready to move on to the next thing. Let's hope Ahsoka can set the bar a little higher than this.
I think the problem is, like, Season 1, the Darksaber, Gideon's still alive. And you're fine with Gideon still being alive at that point because we just got introduced to him. Like, really cool ending. Like, oh my god, the Darksaber, like, bringing that into live action, kind of fantastic. Then you have the Season 2 finale, Luke, the cool hallway scene, the beautiful parting between Din and Grogu. Mm-hmm. And then you have this season, and it's like, you didn't really have that, oh my god moment.
No.
You just had the peaceful ending.
It felt too much like a series ending and not a season ending when we know that there's another season supposed to be coming.
Well, he said he's written it, basically.
It's written.
So does it not involve Grogu and, I guess we should call him Djarin, since Din is apparently not his first name, so...
No, we're still going to call him Din and Grogu.
Alright, well, I've been calling him Djarin in the other video, so...
You don't even say that right. His name is Djarin, not Djarin.
I mean,
gotta put the D in there.
Is it gonna be about them doing kind of fun missions? Well, not fun, but little missions, finding Imperial remnants? Is it gonna be a different kind of show?
Maybe he'll do some jobs for Boba Fett too.
Maybe.
Next comment is from Ensemble. My problem is that Grogu just doesn't work in action scenes. Like, you can't really hit him because he's so baby-like. So, other characters just have to swing their weapons around him. Compared to Din, who can have an exchange with Moff. It's either a comedic scene like the duel with that child, or it just looks stupid.
Yeah, I didn't really dig the whole him jumping around like the rafters or the light fixtures while the Praetorians
I didn't mind that as much as when he was running along the floor and his feet were like going up, down, up, down, up, down.
See, that doesn't bother me too much.
That bothered me more because it just looked weird.
It looks goofy, but
just keep his robes on the ground. Why are his robes moving that way?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't mind that they're using a puppet, that they're using it practical, so I expect it to look a little wonky or a little silly.
I actually wanted Grogu to take a shot because he's got the Beskar mail.
That's a good, kind of like Frodo. That should have skewed a wild boar or a wild Grogu.
But Grogu's wearing the Beskar mail.
Yeah, I think him taking a shot would have been one of the best things to see in this. Just
right, and then see what happens when Din watches his little man take a shot.
Yeah, gets all upset and
then Grogu goes dark side and chokes them out.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, I liked the fact that they kind of teamed together to beat the Praetorians. I don't like the fact that the Praetorians looked like unstoppable last week and this week, like Din and Grogu kind of.
But they did get beat up by a Force user.
Well, sort of. They were like moving his weapons and stuff, and
pushing them and tripping them, doing force antics.
But I thought the Praetorians were supposed to be like good against Force users, but I mean, don't tell that to the Last Jedi.
These ones haven't trained against Force users yet because the Gideon clones weren't operational.
I don't know.
I do like that he's like, you smothered them. I'm like, dude, he just took the water out. They could breathe.
He was trying to help them. He was trying to saving them.
All right, let's move on.
Yes.
Next comment from Think Again. The biggest issue was that there were no stakes in this episode. There was no tension or anything shocking that happened. It was like they took the safe way out with giving us a cliche ending and not taking any kind of risk.
Yeah, that's exactly what I feel like. There was no like risk. There was nothing in here that I was like even remotely surprised by. Not even, as we were saying before, not even Ag's wolves died.
Nope.
Nobody died except for Gideon, maybe.
How'd they make that many Gideon clones with that little guy's blood?
Yeah, it was a lot of Gideons.
It was a lot of Gideons. It wasn't 30, but it was like...
But was that the real Gideon that died?
We don't know.
No mustache. I wonder if that was
about the mustache, because none of the clones had a mustache either.
Yeah, it almost was like he was like freshly hatched and didn't have time to grow his mustache yet. I mean, it sounds stupid, but it might actually be the case.
So we can have the mustache twirling villain next season.
Yeah, I think they wanted to shave his mustache so we couldn't call him a mustache twirling villain.
All right. Next comment from No Trip Nye. Well, Dave did say it felt like an ending, but I didn't expect that.
But it was also supposed to resolve the Book of Boba Fett or something too? Like,
I don't even know anymore. I give up. I think they just open their mouths, things come out, and none of it actually means anything.
Well, I think part of the problem is we fans like hang on every word, and sometimes they're just they're saying you could go back in my videos and I say dumb things all the time. You can attest to that. And
yeah, but we're not hanging on your every word the same way because you're not making The Mandalorian.
I'm not trying to say people are listening to me the same way they listen to Dave and John. No, what I'm saying is like I know I've said dumb things, and if there were like millions of people hanging on my every word making videos about what I was saying, I'd probably sound like a complete idiot. And so I think we do have to sometimes give them a bit of a pass when they're doing 20 interviews a day and saying the same things over and over again, and maybe they kind of misword something. Or I'm not saying we can't hang on every word and analyze what they say, but we should give them a pass from time to time.
Last comment from Hancor1. If season 4 is just Din and Grogu doing different bounties every week, I'll be perfectly okay with that.
I kind of wanted that from the beginning, is the odd part.
I kind of thought that was going to be what it was in the beginning. I mean, you can give him an overarching villain-ish, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they can just do different bounties, different jobs with the Republic, or other planets, or other people that they know in the galaxy. Like, they could go on a mission for bo-katan, or help her do something. Then they could go and help Boba Fett with something. Then they can help Delphi Squad with stuff.
Isn't that what we thought the Mandalorian was going to be in the first place? A bounty hunter taking kind of random missions and maybe a loose overarching plot? Wasn't that what it was in season 1? Other than the, addition of Grogu, which nobody saw coming.
We can watch him clean up some more of his shady past.
Maybe. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we go backwards and see where he came from a bit more.
I would appreciate that.
Maybe season 4 will just be kind of focused on those two again. Yes. Maybe that's the plan. And now that they've set the stage for other things, we will get other shows. They just didn't announce them quite yet. Or Rangers of the New Republic is becoming a thing.
They've given us enough for me to believe that you could have it.
Yeah, I certainly would be surprised if we don't get some kind of Rangers of the New Republic now. Or
when it's Comic-Con, maybe they'll tell us something then.
Yeah, or maybe it'll be wrapped into the Ahsoka series. Who knows?
Hope not.
Yeah, I hope the Ahsoka series... Well, I mean, to a small extent. I mean, you're bringing in Thrawn. You're going to obviously kind of deal with the New Republic to some extent. All right, well, I think that's going to be all we got for you this time. So now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you thought of this episode, or what you thought of what we thought of what everybody else had already said about this episode. Whatever the case may be, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars, and until next time, thanks for watching.